Dean Martin woke up at 2:30 a.m. on a cold February night in 1969 to the sound of breaking glass downstairs in his Beverly Hills home. He sat up, listened. Footsteps. Someone was in his house. Dean reached for the phone on his nightstand. Before he could dial, his bedroom door burst open. A man in a black ski mask, holding a gun. And beside him, a German shepherd, big, muscular, wearing a training collar. The man pointed the gun at Dean. "Don't move, don't make a sound." His voice was muffled by the mask, shaking, nervous. The dog was silent, just standing there, watching Dean, alert, trained, ready. Dean put his hands up slowly. "Okay, take whatever you want. No need for anyone to get hurt." The burglar moved into the room, gun still pointed. The dog followed, staying close to its handler. "Jewelry, cash. Where is it?" Dean gestured to the dresser. "Jewelry box, second drawer. Cash in the closet safe. Combination is written in my wallet. On the nightstand." The burglar grabbed the wallet, started toward the dresser. That's when Dean noticed something. The dog. It wasn't watching the burglar. It was watching Dean. Head tilted slightly, curious. And Dean Martin, facing a gun and a trained attack dog, made a decision that would leave police officers speechless 12 hours later. He spoke to the dog. It was February 18th, 1969. Beverly Hills, California. Dean's house in the hills. Big property, gated, supposedly secure. But someone had gotten in, cut through a window downstairs. Dean lived alone. His marriage had ended. Kids were grown. Just him in this big house. He'd been sleeping. Deep sleep. The alcohol helped with that, but the sound of breaking glass had cut through everything. Woke him instantly. Survival instinct. Dean was 51 years old, in good shape still, but facing a man with a gun, he wasn't going to try to be a hero, or so he thought. The burglar was young. Dean could tell from the movement, the voice, maybe mid-20s. Scared. That made him dangerous. Scared people with guns did stupid things. The dog, though. The dog was calm, professional. This was a trained animal, probably trained to attack on command. Guard dogs, attack dogs. Some criminals use them. Intimidation, protection. This wasn't a pet. This was a weapon. The burglar opened the jewelry box, started grabbing things. Watches, cufflinks, a ring that had belonged to Dean's mother. The burglar wasn't looking at Dean. Gun was pointed generally in his direction, but the man's attention was on the valuables. The dog, though, still watching Dean. Dean watched back, made eye contact. The dog's ears were forward, alert, but not aggressive, just watching. Dean spoke quietly. "Hey boy, what's your name?" The burglar's head snapped up. "Shut up! I said don't talk!" Dean kept his eyes on the dog. "Easy, I'm just talking to your dog. He's a beautiful animal." The burglar looked at his dog, then at Dean. "Kaiser? His name is Kaiser, and he'll tear your throat out if I tell him to, so shut up." Dean nodded slowly. "Kaiser, that's a good name. German Shepherd deserves a strong name." He was still looking at the dog. The dog tilted its head more, like it was trying to understand. Why was this man talking to him? Why wasn't he scared? Everyone was scared of Kaiser. That was his job. Be scary. The burglar moved to the closet, looking for the safe. Dean stayed on the bed, hands visible, non-threatening. But he kept talking to Kaiser, voice soft, calm. "You're a working dog, aren't you, Kaiser? I can tell. You've been trained. Probably trained hard. Long hours, repetition, commands. But I bet nobody ever just talked to you. Just saw you as a tool, a weapon, not as what you really are, a good dog doing a job." The burglar found the safe, started working the combination from Dean's wallet. "I'm warning you, one more word and I sick Kaiser on you." Dean looked at the burglar, then back at Kaiser. "He won't attack me." The burglar laughed. "Yeah? Why not?" Dean's voice was steady. "Because he doesn't want to. Look at him, really look at him. He's not in attack mode. He's curious, confused maybe, but not aggressive. You've trained him to attack on command. But has anyone ever trained him not to? Has anyone ever given him a choice? The burglar got the safe open, started pulling out cash, stacks of it. Dean kept a lot of cash at home. Old habit. The burglar stuffed it into a bag. "You're crazy, old man. Kaiser does what I tell him. He's mine. I raised him, trained him. He's loyal to me." Dean shook his head slightly. Loyal or scared? There's a difference. A loyal dog stays because it wants to. A scared dog stays because it has to. The burglar finished with the safe, zipped the bag, turned back to Dean. "Gun up. Get up. You're coming downstairs, gonna tie you up. Can't have you calling cops right away." Dean stood slowly, hands still up. Kaiser watched him stand. The dog's body language shifted slightly, more alert, but still not aggressive. Dean started walking toward the door, the burglar behind him, gun in his back. Kaiser walking beside the burglar. They got downstairs, living room. The burglar gestured to a chair. "Sit." Dean sat. The burglar pulled out zip ties. "Hands behind your back." As Dean moved his hands behind him, he spoke to Kaiser again. "Kaiser, come here, boy." The burglar grabbed Dean's wrists. "I told you to shut up." But Kaiser had moved, stepped closer to Dean, looking at him. Dean smiled at the dog. "Good boy. You're such a good boy. I bet nobody's told you that in a long time." The burglar tightened the zip ties. Too tight. Painful. Dean winced but didn't cry out. Kaiser's ears went back. The dog made a small sound. Not quite a whimper, not quite a growl. Something in between. The burglar didn't notice. Too focused on securing Dean. Dean noticed. "It's okay, Kaiser. I'm okay. Your handler is just doing his job, just like you do yours." The burglar stood up, checked the ties. Satisfied. "Okay, I'm taking your car keys. Taking your car. By the time you get loose and call cops, I'll be long gone." He grabbed keys from the bowl by the door. Dean's Cadillac. The burglar headed for the door. Kaiser didn't follow. The burglar stopped. "Kaiser, come!" Kaiser looked at the burglar, then at Dean. Didn't move. The burglar's voice got harder. "Kaiser, heel, now!" Kaiser took one step toward the burglar, stopped, looked back at Dean. Dean spoke quietly. "He doesn't want to go with you." The burglar's hand tightened on the gun. "What did you do? What did you do to my dog?" Dean's voice was calm. "I didn't do anything. I just talked to him, like he was a person, like he mattered." "When's the last time you did that?" The burglar was getting panicked. "Kaiser, attack! Get him!" Kaiser looked at Dean, the attack command, the one he'd been trained on for years, the one that meant bite, hold, don't let go. Kaiser's whole body tensed. This was the command. This was what he was supposed to do. Dean didn't move, didn't flinch. He just looked at Kaiser, spoke softly. "It's okay, Kaiser. You don't have to. You have a choice. You can attack me because he told you to, or you can choose not to. Nobody's ever given you that choice before. But I am right now. You can attack, or you can choose me. Choose kindness over fear. Choose being treated like you matter. Your choice, buddy." Kaiser stood there, body trembling, every muscle tense, torn between two opposing forces. Years of conditioning, years of training. The command was clear: attack. It was what he'd been bred for, what he'd been beaten into understanding. What happened when he didn't obey? Pain, hunger, isolation, the training collar, the cage, the dark room. Attack meant survival. Attack meant food. Attack meant his handler wouldn't hurt him later. But something else was happening, something he'd never experienced. This human, this Dean, had spoken to him like he mattered, like he was more than a tool, more than a weapon, had seen him, really seen him, not as Kaiser the attack dog, as Kaiser the dog, just a dog who wanted what all dogs want, to be good, to be loved, to matter to someone. The dog looked at the burglar, the man who fed him but never pet him, who trained him but never praised him, who used him but never loved him. Then looked at Dean, the man who was tied up, helpless, who could have screamed or fought or begged, but instead had talked, had been kind, had given him something no one ever had. A choice. Your choice, buddy. Those words echoed. A choice. Not a command, not an order, not a threat. A choice. Kaiser made his decision. Kaiser walked to Dean, sat beside his chair, looked up at him, chose him. The burglar stared. Kaiser? Kaiser, what are you doing? Attack! I said attack! Kaiser ignored him, just sat beside Dean. Protective posture, like Dean was the one who needed protecting. The burglar raised the gun, pointed it at Dean, hands shaking. What did you do? How did you do that? Dean's voice was still calm. I didn't do anything. Kaiser made his choice. He chose to be treated with dignity, with respect, with kindness. When's the last time you gave him any of those things? The burglar's voice cracked. I trained him. I fed him. I took care of him. Dean shook his head. You used him. There's a difference. The burglar was spiraling, gun wavering. Kaiser sensed it, stood up. Moved between Dean and the burglar. Low growl, warning, protecting Dean now. The burglar backed up. Kaiser, it's me. I'm your owner, your master. Kaiser's growl got deeper. The burglar kept backing up, hit the door, fumbled with the handle, got it open, ran, left the bag, left the gun on the floor, left everything, just ran. Kaiser started to follow. Dean spoke. Kaiser, stay, let him go, stay with me. Kaiser stopped, looked at the open door, at Dean, walked back to Dean, sat beside him again. Dean sat there, tied to a chair, waiting. About 30 minutes later, he heard sirens. The burglar had been caught, 3 blocks away, broke down, confessed everything, told them about the house, about Dean Martin, about how his dog had turned on him. Police came to Dean's house, found Dean tied up, Kaiser sitting guard. Officers drew weapons. Mr. Martin, is that dog dangerous? Dean smiled. Only if you try to hurt me. Can someone cut these ties? My wrists are killing me. Officer Rodriguez cut the ties. Dean rubbed his wrists. Kaiser stayed close. The officer looked at the dog, at Dean. Mr. Martin, what happened here? The suspect is hysterical. Keeps saying you stole his dog, that you did something to Kaiser. Dean stood up, stretched. I didn't do anything, just talked to him, showed him kindness. Kaiser chose kindness over fear. Simple as that. The police took statements, collected evidence, photographed the scene, the bag of stolen items, the gun on the floor, the broken window downstairs. One officer, Sergeant Mitchell, a veteran with 20 years on the force, stayed behind after the others left. He looked at Kaiser, at the scars, at the way the dog stayed glued to Dean's side. Mr. Martin, the dog, Kaiser, legally he's evidence. Property involved in the commission of a crime. Animal control will have to take him, process him. And honestly, sir, he's been trained as an attack dog. That makes him classified as dangerous. Dangerous animals that have attacked or been used in crimes, they don't usually get adopted out. Too much liability, too much risk. Most of them get put down. Dean had been rubbing his wrists, stopped, looked at Mitchell. Put down? This dog didn't attack anyone. This dog protected me from his own handler because I showed him basic decency. You want to kill him for that? Mitchell looked uncomfortable. It's not about what I want, Mr. Martin. It's policy. Attack dogs, especially ones trained by criminals, they're considered too dangerous. What if he snaps? What if someone gets hurt? The city can't take that risk. Dean knelt down beside Kaiser, ran his hands over the dog's body, felt the ribs under the thick coat, saw the old scars, saw the raw patches where the training collar had rubbed, saw the damage. You're right, Sergeant. This dog is dangerous. Dangerous to criminals, to people who abuse him, to people who see him as a weapon. But look at him. Really look. This isn't a monster. This is a victim. He didn't choose this life. He was forced into it, beaten into it, and the moment someone gave him a choice, he chose kindness. You want to kill him for choosing right? Sergeant Mitchell looked at Kaiser. Really looked. You're right, Jesus. The handler will go to jail. But the dog, most attack dogs that have been abused don't get adopted. They get put down. Too risky. Dean stood up. Then I'll take him. I'll adopt him. Mitchell looked surprised. Mr. Martin, he's been trained to attack. What if he snaps? Dean smiled. He won't. Will you, Kaiser? Kaiser wagged his tail. First time all night. Mitchell shook his head. This is insane, but okay. I'll put in the paperwork, if you're serious. Dean was serious. Stories like this one deserve to be remembered. The moments when legends turned enemies into friends with nothing but presents. The choice given to a creature who'd never had one. If you want to hear more stories about the people who shaped an era, the compassion shown to the forgotten, and the grace that changed lives, this channel tells those stories. Because these aren't just tales about famous people. They're lessons about giving choices when none existed before. Kaiser lived with Dean for the rest of his life. 7 years. Dean retrained him, not as an attack dog, as a companion, as a friend. Kaiser slept by Dean's bed every night, followed him everywhere. Protective but gentle. Dean would tell the story at parties. About the night a burglar broke into his house with an attack dog and left with neither. People would laugh, ask if it was true. Dean would smile. Pet Kaiser. Ask him, and Kaiser would wag his tail. When Kaiser died in 1976, Dean buried him in the backyard. Put up a marker. Kaiser taught me that everyone deserves a choice, even when they've never had one. A good dog who chose kindness. Sergeant Mitchell came to the funeral. Said, that dog was supposed to be put down. Instead, he got 7 years of love. Because you saw what he could be, not what he'd been trained to be. Dean nodded. We're all more than what we're trained to be. Kaiser just needed someone to show him that. That's the Dean Martin story that should be told. Not just the cool persona, but the man who faced a gun and an attack dog and chose to talk to the dog like it mattered. Who gave a trained weapon a choice. Who understood that conditioning isn't character. Kaiser was trained to attack, but deep down he wanted to be loved, and Dean saw that, spoke to that, and Kaiser responded. Everyone was left speechless because what Dean did should have been impossible. You can't win over an attack dog with words, except Dean did, because he understood something fundamental, that beneath training and fear and conditioning, every creature wants the same thing, to be seen, to be valued, to matter. Dean gave Kaiser that, and Kaiser chose him. The burglar ran, the gun was dropped, and a dog who'd been a weapon became a friend. That's not just brave, that's transformative, and that's why we remember his name.